Welcome to Real Life with Belle. Thanks for pressing play. You could be doing 1,000 other things right now, and yet here we are. I don't take that lightly. If you're enjoying the conversations, learning something, or quietly rethinking your life choices, make sure to hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're feeling mildly motivated, leaving a review is a big help. It tells the algorithm this podcast is worth sticking around for. All right, gratitude expressed. Let's get on with real life. Today's guest is someone who's told you what to do. You've ignored her, and she's politely forgiven you by saying route recalculation. Karen Jacobsen is the iconic voice behind Siri in Australia and GPS systems around the world. Basically, the calmest person in the car when everybody else is losing their mind. But Karen isn't just here to get us from A to B. She's here to talk about wrong turns, big detours, and why in life, just like on the road, it's never too late to recalculate. Karen lives a full life, a successful music career, and I cannot wait to hear her personal story. Thank you for being here, Karen. You are very welcome.
Oh my goodness, Belinda. Thank you for having me.
I saw you online a few weeks ago and I'm like, oh, she's a person. I reached out to Karen. I'm like, I would love to have you on my podcast, and I'm so grateful that you're here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So we'll start a little bit about you. Tell me about your life. Little Karen, who is she?
Oh my goodness. Growing up in Mackay in North Queensland, when I was 7, I turned on the TV in the living room, and on came the most successful and important person in the entire world, Olivia Newton-John. And when I saw her, my life changed, and I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to become a professional singer and move to America. And her inspiration guided my life for a long time. And I was just to be able to have that clarity at such a young age of what direction I was headed, I had learned later is not so common.
What was she on? Was it Grease? What was it?
It was around that time, yes. And so over those years, she did Grease and she did Xanadu, and, she'd moved to America, this blonde Australian singer, and everybody loved her. So I wanted to be just like her.
So was she doing an interview? Did you see her on a TV program being interviewed?
I saw her being interviewed. And, I want to point to just how important role models are, how important what you're doing is, what I'm doing, that we are people who are willing to stand up publicly and put out informing, uplifting energy and materials into the world, because that filters down. It makes a huge difference.
Oh, I love it. When did you move to the USA? Did your dream come true?
Yes. Ultimately, I did accomplish what I set out to accomplish, which is to become a professional singer and move to America. So fast forward, and it was the 1990s. I was living in Sydney, Australia, and you couldn't turn the radio or the television on during those years without hearing my speaking voice or my singing voice on commercials. I was doing hundreds of commercials. And during the day, I was in the studio. At night, I was in the piano bar playing and singing songs. But at a certain point, I realized, oh my goodness, I've stopped short of my dream. I've become a professional singer, but I'm off route. My ultimate dream was to also move to America. So at the age of 31, I started to tell everybody I knew, I'm going to move to America. And I kept getting this reaction of, what would you want to do that for? But I was very clear. My inner GPS, my inner sense of self, my heart, it was very clear that that was what was right for me. And, there's times where you listen to everybody else and you do what's expected of you, and then it doesn't work out. This wasn't one of those times. This time, I listened to exactly what my inner GPS was telling me to do, and I moved to America. And I lived there for 20 years before we had that pandemic, and life led me back to Australia. But 20 years living in New York City.
It sounds to me like you manifested that by telling people in your life, this is what I'm doing. That is what you now did.
Yeah, I really like that because I have had that experience repeatedly in my life. I see it in other people's lives. Our son has just finished high school and is now on his way, and he is speaking aloud his dreams, and then things are showing up. It's powerful to
Yeah.
identify to listen to your inner GPS, your inner sense of self, to then be willing to say out loud or write down what it is you actually want. Tell another human being, publicly declare it. Ask
Yeah.
people if they know anyone who's doing that. And then the clues and the signs show up. That has been my experience over and over again.
Yes. Yes. And if you say it out loud, it's in the ether. There it is. The people know it. You in the mirror know it. So if we're looking in the mirror and we're saying, I look fat today, is
Yeah.
that going to put me in a good mood? Or if you look in the mirror and you say, I look good today.
That's right. And I read a lot of Louise Hay years ago, and her work on with affirmations was groundbreaking. And she has one affirmation, which is I am a beautiful and worthy person. And that's a great one for the mirror. And you to address yourself in the mirror and say, Karen, you are a beautiful and worthy person. And it's uncomfortable as all get out when you start to do that in the mirror. In fact, a lot of people are so confronted, they will cry if they actually are willing to even say something nice to themselves in the mirror in the first place. But mirror work is extremely transformational. And I'm happy you brought it up because it's
So
been a
I
tool
haven't
for me.
actually said it out loud. I will try it. I just think it in my mind. But imagine if you took the next step and then you said those beautiful words and you backed it up with, and I'm going to look after you today.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Because you are your person. You are the person that has you. So it's about your mindset, about yourself. What you say to yourself sits with you.
It does. And if that kind of self-talk that happens without us trying, different to the inner GPS, but that kind of
Yeah.
self-talk can be very unhelpful. And unless we identify it and interrupt it, it can run our lives in the most unpleasant ways. So to hear it and be like, no, that's not it. I'm going to be the one in charge here,
And if
not.
that voice comes in and says the negative talk, this is called probably anxiety, perhaps.
Yes, it is.
But,
I've
but,
just written a whole show about it. That's why I'm
did you?
laughing. Yeah,
But I will say it's a fear of something that has not happened.
that's right.
So anxiety, that's what I've learned. When anxiety creeps up in me, I like to just remind myself that hasn't happened. That may
Mm-hmm.
not happen. Let's see.
Yeah, and it's look, the being a human being is no joke. I mean, no wonder many people want to escape and drink a lot, gamble a lot, not
Check
be
out.
present, check out, not be present, because it is no joke to be present and unfiltered without any of those aids. And it's work. It is a lot of work. But, if you are willing to do that and to do the work, it's powerful to be able to acknowledge yourself, be clear, and take steps toward what it is you really would love to be spending your time doing, which is the best kind of life to create.
Yes. You have to love what you do. You have to love it. Now tell me, are you in New York City at this point when you move over there? Where did you go?
Yep, I moved directly to America. I landed at JFK. I took a yellow taxi, a yellow cab into the city. I
On your
started
own?
all on my own. I
Ooh.
started to build a life there. Um, but I did have this one problem, and that was that ever since I was a little girl, um, I I had anxiety. I mean, I had some tools by the time I was 31, but as a little girl, I would get such intense abdominal pains when it was leading up to a school musical or a piano exam or some kind of performance. I mean, I would be
Mm.
at home from school for a week. They would take me to do tests to find out what was wrong with me. And after every round of tests, they'd come out tell my parents there is absolutely nothing wrong with your daughter. It's just nerves. That's what they used to call anxiety. They would call it nerves. So here I was having all these very confusing signals in my body,
And
but
also physical representations. Physical. These were not
physical.
psychological. You were physically
No,
in pain.
that's right. And I knew that I wanted to be on stage and I loved being on stage, but this was very difficult. So by this time, I'm an adult, I had some tools to manage it, but anxiety still had me. I didn't have it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I really set out to break through that. And I had been studying at the time with a singing teacher in Australia, one of Australia's finest singer, Kerry Bedell. And I learned that the value of 50 rehearsals was the same value as one performance. So practicing something 50 times had the same value as doing it for real once. So I was like, okay, I need to be on stage as much as I possibly can. So I got to New York. I did shows for money, for no money. I did my own shows. I performed on other people's shows as a guest artist because I thought to myself, here was my theory that if I could reduce the lag time between when I knew I would be on stage and when I was actually on stage, I wouldn't have time to be nervous. It was kind of a rudimentary concept, but it worked.
Yeah. And you filled that toolbox. You filled
Yeah.
that toolbox of being able to be on stage, being able to perform, and you threw yourself into it.
So I call that being able to be performance ready. So at a moment's notice to be able to deliver what it is you are delivering. It may not be being on stage for someone listening to this. It could be another profession, another level of expertise in some other area. But are you performance ready? Are you able at a moment's notice to just go in there and deliver what you're here to do? And that's what it provides when you are doing things for real and not just practicing them or thinking about practicing them.
Yeah. So it could be speaking up in a meeting, sharing your
Oh,
opinion
yes.
in the
Yes, it
workplace,
could. Yes, it could.
sharing your opinion at home.
And that can be really challenging when we set things up in a certain way without really meaning to, or if fear is running the show, being able to open our mouths and say what is really on our mind can be super challenging.
Absolutely. All right. So you arrive, you're doing the work. Are you flatting? Are you sharing?
Oh,
Where are you
yes.
accommodated?
Yes, so I did a search where I asked everybody I knew, do you know anyone looking for a roommate? There were Village Voice ads. I looked on the Actors Equity Bulletin board, word of mouth, and finally found a room to rent. But it wasn't like, it was on 49th Street near the UN between 1st and 2nd Avenues. But it wasn't really even my own room. It was a little tiny room off somebody else's bedroom. I had to walk through to get to my own room, and it was in a building that was a 5-floor walk up, so no elevator. Every time you arrived, even with your groceries or your luggage, up 5 double flights of stairs and back down again, even to do the laundry. So it was a very conveniently located apartment, but it was certainly not in a fancy building. But it gave me the opportunity to be right in the heart of it and to begin meeting people, talking to people, performing, booking performances, and doing what I was there to do, which was to share my own original songs.
Yeah. And what about your first well-paid gig? What was that? Was it music?
My
Was it acting?
my first paid performance was actually in a beautiful venue called Cafe Lena in Saratoga Springs in upstate New York. And I remember it very clearly. And I actually have a picture on the wall framed of a beautiful painting of that venue because it was a really special moment for me. But I did get into voiceover work in the US as well as performing music, and that was very helpful. So it was really great to be booking voiceover work, which leads us to the audition for the job that's brought us together.
Yeah. And what about, were you using an Australian accent in the work,
I
in
was.
the voiceovers?
I was. And even though a lot of those big voiceover agents in New York City said, no solicitation, do not contact us, I broke through that, even though I'm generally a big rule follower. I was like, but I've got a decade of experience doing hundreds of commercials and I've got a specialized accent. I'm going to contact them. And I did. And I said, this is my position and my situation. And fortunately, it was well received. So I then had representation in the US.
What brands were using the Aussie accent?
I did some documentaries for Discovery Channel. And do you remember Aussie shampoo, Aussie hair care with the purple kangaroo and the purple? There was a huge brand and it was huge across America. And I was their voice for years. I did voiceover commercials for them. So a lot of different things along the way. I once did a jingle for the Blue Man Group for their Las Vegas show. I mean, I could do a lot of name dropping if I could remember them, but
Yeah. There was a call for an Aussie accent to sell in America at that time. Now, what about your music? So, are you writing your own music at this point? Have you
absolutely.
always? Yes.
Yeah, always since I was very young. So I was writing songs. I met other singer-songwriters early in the piece. When I left Australia, I had a list of about 30 names and phone numbers of friends to contact when I got to America. And some of the people on that list are still my closest friends today, actually. But I set about meeting those people for breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, and getting to know people, telling them what I was doing there. And through that, I was invited to join an artist collective called Urban Muse, which was 8 female singer-songwriters. And we would get together and support each other in our businesses. And we started to do shows together. And so I toured a lot with other singer-songwriters throughout the Northeast and as far west as Wisconsin. And we would each perform our own songs and then sing harmonies and accompany each other and travel together, which, as we'll probably get to later, women need to do to feel safe and to be safe. So that was helpful on that side, but it was an extraordinary experience to have a strong, creative, like-minded community, really from very early in my time in New York.
Beautiful. So you had your management team who were getting you voiceover gigs. What about a management for your music career? How did you do this?
I've pieced a lot of it together myself for a long time. I did have different agents that I worked through, and I have from time to time had music managers for short periods, but I really often had a very clear idea about what I wanted to be doing and how my creative life would be. And that's been a challenge for me to actually connect with representation who shares that vision. And I did have a manager at in one of those early years who was fantastic and arranged for me to sing the national anthem, the American national anthem at Fenway Park in Boston. So that was definitely a break for me, a big break that I sang to 34,000 people at that baseball game.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats and join the pop piano singer and songwriter who has shared a stage with Norah Jones and Cyndi Lauper. Welcome Karen Jacobsen for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
And that was the beginning of then doing a string of many big national anthems in stadiums for audiences up to 80,000 people all over the country. So that was a very exciting experience. And then now back in Australia, having sung for the Wallabies Tri-Nations at Suncorp Stadium and State of Origin. So, and I really feel proud when I get the opportunity to sing the national anthem in either country.
Yeah, that is such a privilege. And then what about your Siri gig? Did you just see an ad for an Australian accent?
Yes, there was an audition description, and a client was looking for a native Australian female voiceover artist living in the northeast of the United States. And I saw that brief. I'm like, this job is mine. This is a description of me. So I went to the audition. I took the subway down the N train down to 28th Street, and I arrived at the studio, and I went in, and they gave me a short script, piece of paper with some phrases on it, and I went into the voiceover booth, and I had to say things like this. I had to say, at the next intersection, turn left, and you have reached your destination. And everybody's favorite, recalculating. So I came out of the recording booth into the control room, and the client said the words that no one in the entertainment industry at an audition ever hears. You've got the job. I got the job on the spot. And they said, look, we need to take you to Ithaca, this mythical sounding town in upstate New York, and we're going to put you in a hotel. We're going to need you for about 3 weeks. And I'm on a plane to Ithaca. I arrive there, and they take me to the studio, and they hand me this script, and it's the size of a phone book. Phone books are the books they used to put all of the numbers in back in the day. Massive phone book size script. And we started and we recorded for 4 hours. And what they needed to do was capture every combination of syllables possible, so they could chop that up and create a voice system based on my speaking voice. That's the technical part. So we recorded for 4 hours, and then I went to lunch and went back to my hotel room to rest my voice. And they only wanted 4 hours a day because they wanted my voice to never to sound tired or fatigued in any way, and to sound very calm and consistent. So that continued for 3 weeks. Then I went back to my life as a singer-songwriter in New York City.
And when you were doing the recording, did you have any idea of what it was for? Did you just think it was for, because AI wasn't a thing. So did you just think it's what? What were you told this voice was to be used?
Another voice system. And I'd done quite a few voice systems, but the longest one I'd done up to that point was 10 hours. I had been the voice of Vodafone in Australia for many years, and that was a very big all-day, one big day, 10 hours of recording. And I'd done other voice systems for different kinds of companies. So this was like a big one, 50-hour voice system. So I did not have any clue what it was going to end up doing, and it was quite a while before I found out.
You didn't know it was for Apple?
So this voice system ended up being licensed to lots of different companies, not just them. So it was 2 years later, I got a call from a girlfriend, and she said, Karen, we're driving from Maine back to New York City after the Christmas holidays, and I bought my husband one of those new GPS thingos, and he said, turn it on to this. Let's listen to the Australian voice. So we did. We put it on the Australian voice, and oh my God, Karen, it's you. It's your speaking voice on the GPS. And so I turned to my husband and I said, oh no, I bought you Karen Jacobsen for Christmas. And that is how I found out that my speaking voice had ended up in what is now over 1 billion GPS and smartphones and elevators and cruise ships and software applications, and even in the airport car park in Brisbane Airport, telling people where to go and what to do while we're having this interview right now.
Unbelievable. And okay, you do not have to tell me how much you were paid, but were you paid very, very well for this?
Well, see, people think you must be rich. You must be rolling in it. But let me just tell you that if I was, we would be doing this interview on my private island.
Because I can imagine that you wouldn't have known where this was going to go. So it would have been a minimal amount.
I didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew that when you do voiceover work, you have it written in such a way that you are paid for the usage.
Yes.
However,
yes.
that was not something that the client was going to be interested in. So yes, it was. I am the poster child for artist exploitation.
I assumed this would be the case too. Now, what about Apple? Was Apple just using that piece of recording that you already tracked?
Yeah, they licensed it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you didn't see a thing from Apple either?
Well, like I said, the poster child for artist exploitation. But it's unfortunate but this continues. This was a long time ago. And yes, okay, we didn't know where it was going to go, but the companies know. They know
They
where it's
knew.
going to go.
They knew.
They know exactly
knew.
where it's going to go. And what I would love to see, because I have younger voiceover artists reach out to me about contracts that they are asked to sign even now. And it's just not right. Not right.
Yeah, see, I would have assumed, well, no, I assumed what we've just spoken about. I know of friends that are models, for instance, and they will do an ad, a campaign for an ad, and then if it's reused in the future, they will still get a new royalty.
The royalty, exactly. And so do
Right?
I for other
Yeah.
voiceover work. And that is the design, so that you're paid for your likeness, for your intellectual property, because artists, when they're not paid for their intellectual property, don't make any money.
Yeah.
And so it's actually becoming more and more challenging for artists to have a professional career. And now we are in the world of AI upfront, and it is it is difficult. And I really think most people you would talk to who use their phone on a daily basis, and they listen to any song they ever wanted to hear and watch any show that they want to hear and get to design in apps that make it super easy and take photographs that make it super easy, or use these materials that are already up online and are able to be used without paying anybody. I really think most people would feel like the right thing is to remunerate the creative person behind that. And unfortunately, there are more people in charge who feel like it's better to try and see how they can benefit rather than the creative. And it's a topic that is very dear to my heart, and I am not really sure how to impact it other than continue to do my own good work and move forward.
So technically, I've been speaking to you for years, but you just didn't know about it.
And I've been telling you where to go and what to do.
Forever. And I love Siri on my phone. I'm forever. Call, and then my husband's name, or call this person. Text this person.
That's right.
I'd much prefer it than this one.
Yes.
So you and I go way back, way back.
Happy to help.
Yeah. Okay. And so tell me about your music. Tell me. So I know that some of your music has been on some TV shows. This podcast is supported by our friends at ActiveFlex, the Australian pain relieving gel designed for long-lasting relief for painful muscles and joints. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If your symptoms persist, please seek advice from a healthcare professional. You can shop online at alphasport.com.au and use my special code, BEL10, BEL10. And that's just a little special code for you as a listener of the podcast, using the discount code at alphasport.com.au.
It has on Passions, US soap opera, on Dawson's Creek. I've got a lot of songs. I think I have 14 albums now I've recorded. And I just love to write songs, record songs, perform music. I actually have just written a new show, a new one-woman show that I'm going to be performing at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. And I have 6 shows there, and that's a show that I then plan to perform and tour. So it tells a lot of my story, but with my original songs in between.
I would love to come to that. Is that coming to Brisbane?
I do hope so. I got to find a promoter, Belinda. Let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
find someone so I
Let's
can
do
bring
it.
it
I
to
would
Brisbane.
love to come. I would
Thank
love to
you.
come and see this. Now, when
Oh.
I was doing my deep dive on you,
Yes.
I listened to a lot of the music and it's so good, but my favorite, I absolutely have a favorite. Karen, you created an amazing song that I have played in my car. It's on my Spotify Plus list, and I played it for my daughter the other day and she instantly recognized what this was. And I just want everybody to hear this song. Go to your Spotify or your Apple, wherever you listen to your music, and put in there, I Will Not Be Lectured. Now, that is a song that you created based upon the lyrics of the very first Australian female Prime Minister, the 27th Prime Minister of Australia, Julia Gillard. Now, listeners, you may remember the speech that Julia Gillard did in 2012.
October
and it-
9th, 2012. I'm remembering very clearly.
She knows. So these are the lyrics that Julia Gillard spoke in her I Will Not Be Lectured misogyny speech in Parliament. And I've just got goosebumps even saying that. And the other day I was in the car with my teenage daughter and she finished school a few years ago and I put this song on and she was listening. She immediately knew what the song was. She could relate it straight back to the misogyny speech because in year 12, they studied that speech. They analysed it. And I just absolutely love the way that you've put it together. It's kind of sassy. Not now, not ever.
That's right. Oh, I love that you're singing the tune. Shall I tell you how this came about?
Yes, please.
I was watching Annabelle Crabb on the ABC interview former Prime Minister Julia Gillard about her political life. And they got to the part where she asked her about the impact of the misogyny speech. And as I was watching, it was like a bolt from the blue that I really cannot explain. And I just felt compelled. I ran to the computer and I searched up a transcript of the speech.
Yeah.
I printed it out. I ran to the printer. I grabbed the transcript of the speech and I took it to the piano. And then I put my hands down on the piano keyboard and the music was just all there.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and I rise to oppose the motion moved by the Leader of the Opposition. And in so doing, I say to the Leader of the Opposition, I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not. And the government will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. Not now, not ever. The Leader of the Opposition says that people who hold sexist views and who are misogynists are not appropriate for high office. Well, I hope the Leader of the Opposition has got a piece of paper and he is writing out his resignation. Because if he wants to know what misogyny looks like in modern Australia, he doesn't need a motion in the House of Representatives. He needs a mirror. That's what he needs. Let's go through the opposition leader's repulsive double standards when it comes to misogyny and sexism. Oh, you're not supposed to take seriously that the Leader of the Opposition is offended by Mr. Slipper's text messages when this is the Leader of the Opposition who has said, and this was when he was a minister under the last government, not when he was a student, not when he was in high school.
And I started to set Julia Gillard's misogyny speech to music, word for word. And I sat there for about, it's a long speech. The whole work set to music ends up being about an hour of music. So it's a long speech, but I had been working on it for about 4 hours, setting it to music, when I suddenly went, oh, these aren't my words. I'm going to need permission, because I'm used to also writing my own lyrics. So, and then I was like, I calmed myself down and I went on to the computer and I went to Julia Gillard's website and I wrote to ask for permission. And I remember exactly where I was the moment I received the email granting me permission. It was a big moment to me that she would entrust those words to me to create what I call the misogyny opus. So I set the entire speech to music over 18 movements, and that's track 1 that you mentioned. But I did release a single called Better Standard Than This, which is actually an amalgamation of excerpts. And I created a music video featuring 70 equality advocates from around the world, each lip syncing a section. So you're going to lose your mind when you see this, Belinda. You're going to love it. And it's called Better Standard Than This. So that is on my YouTube channel, Better Standard Than This. And it is, I recorded it. I was very fortunate to have a co-commissioning partner in the Mackay Entertainment and the MEC Convention Centre. They believed in the project and we worked together for over a year to bring it to life live with musicians from the Queensland Symphony Orchestra in the glorious theatre there at the MEC in Mackay in North Queensland, which is my hometown. So it was an incredible project. I recorded an entire album of the misogyny opus produced by Matt Anthony, and that album was actually nominated for an AIR award, an Australian Independent Record Association award, several years ago. So the main thing that I love is that anybody could listen to this speech set to music and potentially then know every word because they're singing along. And I just have this vision of children getting to learn about it and to really learn that equality is important and that words matter and that women in leadership benefits everybody, not just women. It actually benefits all of us, and to be able to support that. And you know, I do have a vision of the misogyny opus being performed with an all-female orchestra on the steps of Parliament House in Canberra, and a concert tour featuring different known artists across Australia and internationally. So I feel like this particular work is still in its infancy of what it's going to do. And I really appreciate you shining a light on it today, Belinda.
Oh, no, thank you for having that moment, that spark of I need to do this, printing, running to the piano, and then it all just flowing from you. Have you ever read the book called Big Magic?
I have. It's an amazing book, and this was one of those really felt like an ordained divine intervention kind of divine inspiration experience.
Yeah. So Elizabeth Gilbert wrote this book. It was on the back of Eat, Pray, Love. Now, this book, what we are speaking about is having an idea. We all have ideas. We have these little sparks that come from fate or from the universe, the ether, whatever they're coming from. And you have this idea and you either make that decision to run with it or you let it go. And guess what happens with that idea?
It goes to somebody else.
It goes to somebody else. I am so damn happy that you took that and went, it's mine. And then you created this.
I just felt compelled, truly compelled to do it.
Yeah, I've sent this song to so many people.
Oh my gosh. Wait till you see the music video. Like, I know, I just am really proud of it. And I'm going to do a second video to one of the other songs. And I've asked people I know and people who are equality advocates to each record themselves doing a line of this particular song that I'm going to release. So I wanted to ask you, Belinda, if you'd like to be in the next music video, you could record a line and be part of it.
I would love to. I would
Awesome.
love to. Oh, amazing. It just reminds me of Band-Aid.
Yes.
You remember?
And look, apparently the message of equality has not been heard loudly enough around the world and with our leaders.
Yeah.
So, this is something that I can do to draw attention to this particular topic.
Equality. So this is a beautiful topic, and let's just briefly go there. So these Epstein files that were released a few weeks ago, it's blowing my mind how many men are not interested in looking. And I think by burying our heads in the sand, it is not helping, because having the thought, I can't do anything about it, so why do I want to have that image in my head? It's happening. These things are happening. This isn't just a one-off, and that's what irritates me. And it's not exactly equality at the moment that men are like,
I have so much to say about this, obviously. And it's happening. It appears to be happening at many levels of society in many countries. And it apparently is tolerated, and people look the other way all the time for years. And it is distressing to think about the reality of what has happened and is happening, especially to children. And that we are willing as a society to let that keep being the case is so disturbing to me. And I've been grappling with this myself, but there is a bit of a social contract or understanding that if I don't call you on yours, you won't call me on mine. So I think this is one of the ways this has been able to fester. And it takes incredibly courageous people to push through the energy of we're not interested and we don't want to know. Giselle Pellicot in France, Virginia Giuffre, these women, these are queens. The statues we have in the street, these are the people we want to have statues of in the street. We also need to take a big, strong, hard look at how we are raising children and how we are, what messaging they are being given and what behavior they are being taught is acceptable, because they are sponges. They're going to experience what is happening in their home, in their environments, in the media. It's important that we educate from a very young age, and we've seen shifts, but we have so much work to do.
We are not there. We are not there.
This is the foundation of writing the Misogyny Opus, is to be able to create an artistic work that shares a message in a new way. Again, that words matter.
Words matter and actions matter, because words
they do.
Can be wind. As one of my guests said a few weeks ago, words can be wind, actions matter.
They do.
So on a happy note, now, is there anything in your near future that you are really excited about? What excites you, Karen?
I am very excited that my one child, our one son, has just finished high school and gone to university, and I am on school holidays for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And so I am feeling this freedom that, okay, I know a lot of people will travel with their work and have big careers while they are parenting. And I've certainly done a lot of things and a lot of travel while parenting, but I couldn't ever shake that discomfort of leaving the family when I was working. So now I don't have that issue. I am really excited that now it's time for my creative work to be out in the world and for me to be able to feel really unleashed in what I'm able to provide. So I have speaking engagements coming up. I speak at conferences, events about recalculating and navigating change powerfully. So I've been doing that for over 15 years, and I have some very exciting speaking engagements coming up. And I have a new album that will be coming out later this year, in addition to the other projects we talked about, including the new show, Ready for What I Came Here For. So there are just a few little aspects, but I'm very excited about being able to put my my wholehearted energy into my creative work. And
Love this. Now, tell me, what is one piece of advice you can give to a listener now who is looking at you going, how do I do a route recalculation?
oh, well, here's the number one thing is it is never too late. It is never too late to recalculate. I am 57 years old, and there is no messaging anywhere in the world that says that a 57-year-old singer-songwriter and performer is welcome or valid out in the marketplace. But I don't care, because I know what I have to offer, and I feel like the best work that I can present will begin now, because not only do I have the skills, but I have a new perspective and experience. And I'm interested in hearing what a musical artist who is fresh and 20 years old might have to say, but I'm equally interested to hear what a voice of experience has to say. And I say it is never too late to recalculate. It is never too late. There's always
That is
one
so
action
good.
you can take.
And that is going to lead me into my very next question. Karen, tell me, when was or is now your prime?
Oh, I love it. I wrote a song that will be on my next album called In Her Prime. And it was inspired by
Stop it!
seeing,
Stop it!
seeing Michelle Yeoh win the Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And she stood on the stage and she said that she talked all about being in her prime. And basically, ladies, this is your prime. Now is your prime. And she's in her 60s. And I loved that speech. It really inspired me to write the song. And the lyric is, she's a woman in her prime. So that we are very much on the same wavelength around that.
You and I are so connected. We are so
Yes.
connected. I was before I met Karen online, I was driving home and the car in front of me said 4 Siri, the number 4, SIRI.
Love
And
it.
you and I just feels like we're connected here
Agreed.
through the big magic.
Agreed.
And listeners, if you haven't read that book, also Louise Hay's, what was Louise's book called?
Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life.
So read that one and then also read Big Magic. And there's another book that they should be reading. What is it called?
Recalculate, Directions for Driving Performance Success.
Well, that's
and
Karen's
can
book.
I have to show you the other one too. The
Yes,
GPS
please.
Girls Roadmap for Your Future. And this is about putting yourself in the driver's seat. These are journal style books. There are sentences to write and lists to create so that you can create a life that you love.
Oh, I love it. This is the very last question that I will have for you. Karen, have you ever seen a ghost or a UFO?
What a great question. I have not, but I've definitely sensed the presence of energy. And that's not uncommon, to walk into a space and feel it's really an odd space or it's a really bright, wonderful space. So yes, but what a juicy question. I bet you get some juicy answers to that question.
Oh, I love it because I've never seen a ghost or a UFO. But
Right.
my guests, oh my gosh, probably, I'm going to just make these stats up. Probably 70% have seen a ghost and about 40% a UFO, and their stories are incredible. So
Love it.
listeners, any of the traumatic episodes, you won't hear that question, but any of the fun ones, that question is right at the tail.
Amazing.
Karen, thank you so much for chatting with me today. You and I feel like could speak all day, and I really want to meet you in person. So we need to bring that show to Brisbane.
I'm ready. I am ready. Let's talk offline and
Let's
cook
do
something
it.
up, Belinda. I really
Yes,
think that's the
yes.
go. And just want to leave you with, you have reached your destination.
Thanks for listening to Real Life with Belle and for choosing conversations that are honest, real, and sometimes uncomfortable. If you loved this episode, please follow, subscribe, and leave a review so the stories can keep being shared. Until next time, stay true to yourself, never settle for less, and keep choosing real life, even if it's hard.